one of the things I'm really excited to talk to you about is, how we have different customizations in Intuit Enterprise Suite for different, verticals. We're talking about construction. One of the obviously the things that we've done for construction is put in some pretty vast projects and project tracking and profitability tracking. And we'll show you some of those tools. But it just doesn't stop with contractors. If you happen to be listening to this and you're a nonprofit, what's really amazing is you can go up to your settings, and there's even some settings for like nonprofit specific language, changing a customer to a donor, different things like that instead of an invoice, a pledge. So there's a lot of great industry customizations in here, but let's focus on for contractors right now. Let's take a look at those projects. And so, of course, what you can see here is you can see a list of all your projects. What's neat is every project, when you start it, starts with an estimate. And that's really important. That's kind of the foundation that we'll build upon. Part of the reason why that estimate at the beginning of the project is so important is it can kick off a number of, again, specific customizations we've made in the software to make running multiple projects and really understanding profitability a bit easier. What are some of those? Well, first of all, when you're inside of a project, you can get a dashboard now. This used to be a lot of manual work, a lot of work in Excel, or a lot of work in the owner's or project manager's head. Now you can see this real time. You can see, what is my estimates versus actuals? What are all those different transactions or expenses? If I want to dig into this, we'll go to that tab in just a moment. But a few other things, project profitability, as we talked about, if you want to maintain a 20% project profit, and now you're running at 15.85, the software can track that for you, tell you that you're off, and even give you some suggestions on how to get back on track to your profit. Costs, and there's so many more, and it's not just that this overview or dashboard that you have, but you also have a number of reports. But let's talk about it one at a time. Okay. So you've started that new project. You've created an estimate. What are tasks? Well, as we know, when you start any project, there's so many things you need to do. Permits, building materials, site inspections. The list goes on and on. You can actually create a set of tasks that every time you create a project, it will actually put all these things in. Maybe you need to go out and do a risk assessment. Maybe you need to do some demolition planning. You can have a whole list of these. You can check mark which ones that you want to add, and you can add those to the project. Then your team knows that these different things need to be done. You have different statuses, whether they're open or completed. Again, you can go in and mark these complete. And so every time you start a project, you can have the whole team notified through tasks what needs to be done. Another thing too that is really exciting, that kind of plays into tasks that we'll talk about in a moment, is change logs, change orders. We get those all the time on a project, and that can kick off some new tasks as well. But again, let's just kind of go in order from left to right. So we've started a project. We've started doing all those tasks, getting permits, buying supplies, doing site assessments, etc. Well, now we need to track all the transactions that go into a project. And again, this is what's going to help us understand that project profitability. And the beautiful thing, like with the first point we were talking about, if you're using our payroll and you're using our time, it makes getting all of the time and expenses back to a project super, super simple. Because as you're scheduling employees or contractors, you can actually, from a drop-down, select what customer job, and all that employee's time will go to the correct job. Even if you've split them, where, hey, I want you to spend the morning on job 27 and the afternoon on job 32. As long as you've built that into their schedule, they can start and stop when they get there, and then those billable hours will again go right to the project. But it's not just hours, it's also, again, all the expenses we talked about, materials, labor, planning, architectural fees and other things. You can track all those expenses under your transactions. If you want to take a little bit of a deeper dive on the labor and what that looks like, that's what this time activity is about. But then, you may want to dig into and understand, hey, I got 12 projects in flight. I need to know certain things for certain projects. What's my real-time profitability? What's my time cost by employees, or again, those contractors or vendors? So many things. A couple of exciting ones that we've recently added: cost to complete a project. Can really help you with cash flow management. Committed cost by project. As a project's getting off the ground, you're putting out a bunch of money. Again, permits, supplies, again, maybe engineering fees and other things. So what are your committed costs by project? And then again, the project profitability, bunch of other things, cost to complete reports. Again, a lot of different reports. Super excited about this because reporting is something our contractor customers asked us to beef up, and we've definitely done that. And then I'd like to go to the change log. Not going to spend too much time here, but hopefully everyone's cheering like I am, because we used to not have a change order process. It was, we'll just call it what it was. It was pretty tough. There was not a good way to do this. And so now, again, because you started with an estimate, you can go in, you can make changes to the estimate. Everything is logged. And what's beautiful about this, in addition to tracking change orders, you can even, if we open this up, if you make a change order, you can even put in an attachment. So a date and a timestamp, a signature, here's what the changes were. Hey, you did so good on the kitchen remodel. I'd love you to look at the bathroom and give me a quote on that. Oh, let's go ahead and do that as well. And so to avoid at the end of a job having, potential back and forth over, what should be that final price that's owed. Again, anytime you have a change order, in addition to having it documented here and date stamped, you could also add an attachment. So pictures, new drawing plans, site plans, whatever, again, whatever the case may be, you can put all those attachments there. And what that does is it really helps you when you get to the end of the job, again, having minimal back and forths over final amounts due. So again, we just scratched the surface, but what's super exciting is project profitability, estimates versus actuals, knowing what you want to be profit-wise and having the system help you manage that and get you back on track. A lot of really, really exciting things that you can do with projects. And again, this isn't all of it. We just wanted to give you a quick overview. Set up a call. We'll understand your specific requirements, and then we'll be happy to show you how Intuit Enterprise Suite can help you with your specific workflows that you want to improve or make better.